I will start first just by saying thank you so much for being here today and joining us during this lunch hour meeting. People have told us this is always the easiest time for them to block something off versus the chaos of after work or trying to cram something in first thing in the morning. So hopefully you've got some food and drink in front of you. Feel free to, nosh. This is a very casual affair. And mostly we just want to make sure that we are here to meet your needs. And on that note, I want to welcome you very much to our next speaker series. I am Sherry Mitchell, host of this wonderful series through Energize Colorado's Women-Owned Business segment. And today we are privileged to have two amazing women with us. We have Guadalupe Hurt and Barbara Brooks. Molly, I think your mic's on.
Coming to me.
From Second Act Women, and we have known them for the last couple of years. When we were first launching the Women-Owned Business segment, Wendy, who is CEO of Energize Colorado, would often reach out to Barbara, and we would shoot ideas back and forth about how to scale, how to grow, who can we reach, how can we have the most impact. And then, of course, we got to know Guadalupe, who goes by Lupe, as time went on. And not only are Lupe and Barbara business partners, but they are also best friends, and they've known each other a long time. And so they've got some wonderful memories between them as well. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to the two of them to introduce themselves, tell you a bit about their bio and their background, and then we will get started with the conversation. So Barbara, would you like to lead it off?
Yes. Hi, guys. I'm Barbara, and I'm the co-founder of SecondAct Women. And as you can see on screen, I proudly display my age of 55. There's a reason, and that's because we are focused on the woman over 40 and 50 as we all internally and externally fight against gendered ageism. And Lupe is going to tell you a little bit more about what we do, but how, or we'll talk about that, I guess, as we go along. But the company was started in 2018. We are serial entrepreneurs. I do have a background in having worked for a few companies like Park Meadows Retail Resort, where I was director of marketing and business development, and other shopping centers across the United States with Simon Property Group, which is a shopping mall company. And I also worked in radio and TV here in this market before launching, this is our third company together. Yeah. And we started this company for a reason. And we're probably going to talk about that a little later on, but I'm very excited to be a part of this series. We love Energize.
Oh, you're on mute.
Do you know I have been going on and on?
That's like a Zoom thing though now. I think it's an accepted Zoom thing, right?
You just went on mute.
Wow. She got excited.
I was just going on. Hello. Okay, well,
that's like me with the hook pulling you off the stage.
Excuse me, you've run your time. No.
Hello, ladies.
You were great.
That is the proverbial, mute thing, right? Oh my God. Anywho, ladies, I am Barbara Brooks, and I am with Second Act Women, and the number 55 is exactly my age. I turned 56 this year. We say that for a reason, because Lupe and I, my work wife, built a company around women, glowing up women over 40 and 50 by providing personal and professional development workshops, conferences, retreats, and you name it. We have a self-care camp coming up next week, but we're really here again to help women internally and externally fight against gendered ageism. It's real. It's the only ism that can be laughed at from the stages all over the globe. And it's also an ism that we will absolutely all enter because we just aged 7 minutes being on this call. So my background is in mall marketing. I was director of marketing and business development for Park Meadows Retail Resort and malls across the country with Simon Property Group and some other large developers. I also dabbled in radio and TV in this market working for 9 News and KS 1075 and some others. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. So I went into radio and TV for a minute, and then I went back to the malls, and now look at me. In 2011, I became an entrepreneur, and we'll tell you how this company came to be a little later on. So that's me. I'm going to hand the mic over to
The virtual mic. I got it.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. I know, right? Hey, everyone. My name is Guadalupe Hurt. I am co-founder of SecondAct Women as well. And so my background is in public relations. I've been on the PR side now for 25 plus years, worked in agency, but then went ahead and started my own company, and still kind of focus on copywriting and strategic development on that front. I became an associate documentary producer on a short subject film that kind of explored the intersection between culture and identity. Did that for about 5 years and got to travel the world talking about what it is to be a first-generation American-born Latina. And it was a super powerful and revealing experience that really segued beautifully into SecondAct Women, which I joined in 2019 as co-founder, and have embarked on a pretty awesome ride, helping, like my work wife was saying, helping women just really own their age and feel proud of the level that they're at, and recognizing all the value, potential, and opportunity that still lies ahead in ongoing chapters as we continue to age. So we're excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, there's a lot ahead, ladies. I don't care what age you are.
Amen.
25 or 65.
Well, I actually heard an interesting stat a couple of days ago that from all the research they've done, it's saying that from 60 to 70 is shown to be the most productive years in a person's life. And the next decade after that is 70 to 80 is the second most productive.
Wow.
So I think people are getting on board with, hey, we don't have to hit 67 and, call it quits. So we don't have to hit 55 and say, well, I guess I'm doomed for retirement now.
Yeah.
It's, if you want to retire and you can, great. But I think a lot of people are saying, we don't have to stop then. And I turned 50 this year, and I am,
I'm to the 50.
So I like you, I am very proud of it. I unfortunately lost my mom at 65, so I know that life is often a lot shorter than we would like it to be. And so every year I have a birthday, I'm incredibly grateful that I am still around. But on that note, I want to ask you ladies, because you have this varied background. What made you go, you know what, I'm going to tackle this ageism issue? Because it's been around for so long. It's was just the accepted norm, right? People didn't talk about not going past retirement. It was, you hit retirement, you retire, and then you slowly fade away over the years. Like what made you go, we are going to spearhead this, and we are specifically going to spearhead it for women?
Because we're crazy. No, really, I got to tell you, because we experienced it. It was in 2018, Lupe and I, this is our third company together. And so Lupe and I consciously uncoupled from our marketing and PR firm that we had together. And we decided that for me, I wanted to go back into corporate America, because as a single woman who had a home at the time and a 4-pound dog to take care of, yes, that's the only kid I have. I needed a steady income, and I didn't even realize until after I started this company that I was in my own head about my age. I was 51, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to have to find something quick to sustain my livelihood, at 51. And so when I was going through that period of interviewing for companies, I couldn't get even a first interview, let alone a second interview. And I couldn't get, which means I couldn't get hired. And so suddenly I'm seeing something is going on. And I am a firm believer that things do happen for a reason. And while I am a person who lives with depression. I'm very open about that. I went into my head and started thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do for life? What's going on? So I feel like God put all of those obstacles in the way. Because this came about by me simply pulling something off the shelf that was really a whisper for several years to do. And that was to create a company based on helping women in business, or I like to say business women, because they never say men in business. So we're business women. And so I created womensbusinessweek.com, and we were going to create, this thing that was like Denver Startup Week. Well, as a marketer, I was doing research and I discovered I was hearing the same thing over and over. And although the ages were varied in the room, I started hearing something that resonated with me. And Lupe was in there. She'd only given me 20% of her time at the moment. So
I was just on a different project at the time. That's right.
Yes, but I'm so glad you're here. So I started hearing that there was this thing about, yes, there were all these women's organizations starting and these women's groups that were doing all these really wonderful events and conferences and things, but there wasn't a niche. There wasn't something that was literally focused on helping us as women over 40 and 50. And so I decided, well, that's it. I'm going to put Women's Business Week aside and take these beautiful collection of volunteers who helped me create this company, Lupe included. And next thing you know, Second Act Women was born out of being the target demo who, when I looked back, was not getting those jobs and those interviews or anything because of my minority status and I don't mean by shade, I mean by age. And so that's how it came to be.
Love it. And Lupe, what made you say, you know what, Barbara, I'm going to take this leap with you. Let's do this.
Yeah, well, so at the time I was working on the documentary project and had been on that ride for about 5 years. And I've come from the entrepreneurial side of the equation. I never worked in corporate, worked on the agency side for a little bit, but always kind of did my own thing. And so this is my fourth endeavor, starting up a company. And at the time I figured, oh, you know what? I've got so much experience, PR, marketing, like associate producer. I've been in video production and no problem. I'm going to find a job. No problem. And very similar to Barb, she was trying to get back into corporate. I was trying to get into corporate and we were all getting the Dear Jan letters. And it was one of those where I started to see kind of even with more crystal clarity, Barb's mission to want to bring this issue, this challenge, reality that a lot of women were facing almost in silence to the forefront and give women a community to be able to acknowledge that this is a real thing, ageism is real, and then be able to create a community filled with resources and tools and opportunities to help break that reality or reshift that reality. And so for me, it was very serendipitous that I was on my own journey, walking away from my project and trying to get into corporate. It wasn't working out. And so I said, hey, what better opportunity than to just continue alongside someone I really enjoy working with and creating impact in our community.
That's fantastic. And what I really love about it is that you two already knew each other. And it wasn't, you weren't walking into this, trying to figure out how to put your feet down, where to start, what do we do? It's you had each other to hold on to, which is something that so many entrepreneurs deal with when they're starting their business is they don't have that camaraderie. So, and it's kind of like having kids, right? You have one kid, and when you have two kids, it's not double the work. It's like exponential. It just explodes, the chaos, the food, the everything. And so I can imagine that, you take Barb's passion and desire, and we take Lupe's passion and desire, and you don't just have two passions and desires, you have this explosion of passion and desire that now is going to have this even further reach. So what was the first thing you ladies did? Because one of the questions and one of the biggest needs that was just identified in the survey we did with Women-Owned Business was marketing. Like, how did you start to get that word out of this is what we're doing, we see you, we hear you, and here's how we're going to help you overcome all of these obstacles that you're currently facing?
It's interesting because obviously marketing is in my wheelhouse and public relations, and it is with Lupe as well, especially the PR side of things, which, you put those two together and what a wonderful collision of branding and marketing and PR. And so what happened was this, I will tell you, we created this company as an event only company. So we were going to do these events, these BizCons all across the United States. And then what happens in 2020? we know what happens. So we first held our very first marketing event, because that's really what we consider is anytime we host an event of any type, even 2.5, 3 years later, it's a marketing opportunity for us. So the first project was BizCon. That's what the company was based off the back of, was BizCon, which was an event for women who were in business, no matter if it was career and or business ownership. And the idea was that that was a time for us to collaborate, build this really beautiful community, have dynamic speakers from DU's women's women's school, thank you, who led a couple of sessions, including and moderated a panel, to Microsoft, who are business partners then and are now. We were hosting another event there later this year. So we were lucky enough, frankly, to be able to first launch with a bang, but it wasn't easy because we were based in age. Women didn't understand what our mission was. They didn't understand, and we were still trying to get it. I'm not going to lie, but we built this event. We had to move the date. We had to move the date a whole month later because we weren't selling tickets. It was like, what? There's an event focused on women over 40 and 50. I don't understand. What is that all about? So we had to reshift our messaging, reshift our marketing, and really listen more. And also know, that March wasn't the best month we could have done it as well. But we built this marketing platform, which was this conference at the Art Hotel, in which by the time that we hosted the event, we were at 150 strong. And it was beautiful.
It was a great event. Yeah.
It was a beautiful day.
And, and I think what's been also really important for is like also recognizing that the way that you envision your company isn't always 100% how it pans out.
That's
So
right.
being nimble, being flexible, like Barb said, we started out as an event company, but then as we listened to our women and we started to get in contact with other companies that were interested in reaching this market, we recognized that there was potential for even more. And so we evolved honestly on the fly as our women were saying, hey, have you thought about this? And what about adding this? And so we evolved beyond events to include now a membership platform and to create boot camps and social platform. And so, and curriculum and masterclasses that we're now, in the process of developing. But when we first started out, we were kind of just like very focused on, we're going to be an event company. So I think in tandem with marketing and PR and being very grassroots and intentional with who you reach out to is recognizing that you also have to be willing to let go a little bit of your company and let the market, let the customer you're trying to serve help direct and influence where you go.
Which is something we believe in. I think a lot of us as business owners, it is truly about your avatar. We hear this all the time. It truly is. And it is about listening and hearing. So not just listening, but hearing what your market is saying to you. Because as she said, we've shifted. We've not shifted ever the niche, and that is, and it always will be women over 40 and 50, but the way we have gone about business and even the activities and the programs and even the master classes that we're going to be launching in a new compass system, work-life compass system. So a lot of things have changed, and it's so important to be adaptable to that change, because in corporate, sometimes we're not afforded that opportunity. We have an idea and you now have to take it to your boss, and then the boss has to take it to the boss maybe. So what the beauty of this, of being a business owner, is it's you, but make sure you, in my opinion, you're strategic and intentional with those decisions you're making, because you'll make mistakes like she and I did at the beginning by spinning your wheels thinking something's great and then it's not, because you didn't do a little, due diligence. So.
Right. And so on that note, where do you recommend, how did you get that external guidance for you to say, other than just going to your people and saying, what is it that you want? Who did you turn to for an ear? Were these connections you established previously? Because I'm thinking about all of the new business owners that are in their first entrepreneurial journey that are just building their network. You two ladies obviously had this is was your fourth venture, and you've had the opportunity to build a network outside of that. So for people listening to this conversation, what kind of support system would you say would be good for them to have in place for them to turn to in these kinds of situations where maybe something's not working and they have to figure out what's going on? Maybe they're like, okay, I have to pivot. How do I get this done? Who do you think is important for them to put into place to locate? And then how do they go about finding those people?
Yeah.
So the beauty of being 55 and 48, she's about to turn 49 this weekend. The beauty of being really at any age, because we do talk about intergenerational teams, just so you know, and we have an intergenerational team. But the beauty of being at this point, an experienced woman, is your bank of connections, is all of the connections that you've made over the course of time, no matter what city, wherever you're sitting at, whatever county, whatever it may be, is to be able to go back and use your bank of connections in whatever areas you need them, in those relationships you've built, to lean on for advice. Depending, again, it depends on what their wheelhouse is, but I will say, going back to some of the people like Rob Brown, who was one of my biggest proponents of starting this company when I wanted to stop. When I was in my head in that little depression moment, it's leaning on him. It's leaning on advisors for us. That bank of connections led us to 7 advisors that include Michael Beavis with the city and county of Denver. That includes the former entrepreneur, publisher, magazine editor, Amy Cosper, who, by the way, lives here in Colorado. It's a law firm. I was part of a gala and committee. And sure enough, one of the people that became a good friend of mine is a partner with Mesner Reeves, the law firm of a Chipotle. I have to say that because I love Chipotle. And so it's a matter of leaning on those relationships that you have those friendships and those work relationships that have come around in your life over time. And I'll say there's so much more, but yeah.
And I think, what I would add to that is that, be honest with yourself. Like, you don't have to know everything, and nor do you have the capacity nor the mental bandwidth to be able to learn everything. Now, as entrepreneurs, we tend to say, I need to do it all. I need to run my company, lean, and I need to know every aspect. And I'm not saying you shouldn't know enough to be dangerous, but then there's also limitations. And we've always talked about in our community about working on your business versus working in your business. And there's a distinction there. So making sure that you build an A team around yourself. And that's tapping into, like Barb was saying, the bank of connections that you may have, where you identify where you need certain areas of guidance or you're not feeling super strong. So maybe that's financials, maybe that's marketing, maybe that's sales, maybe that's operations, whatever it is. Identifying those areas of opportunity that if you don't tap into or you don't pay attention to, will limit your growth. And then creating your action plan to reach out, and connect with your bank of contacts, make that happen. But I think the most pressing thing I want to come across is, as women, we tend to not ask for help. And
That's right.
It is a-okay to ask for help in all aspects, in all stages, no matter how old, how young you are. You don't know it all, but odds are you probably are connected to someone that can help you figure it out. So they won't be able to help you if you don't ever pose the question.
So
I love that, because we heard that a lot at one of our conferences when we did an open panel discussion. I would say most of the room agreed that it is, as women, hard to ask for help. Mm-hmm. We're so used to doing caregiving on both ends of our lives, mm-hmm. that we even, for don't even take care of ourselves at times. That asking for help is somehow seen as being vulnerable or not knowing. Well, it's
not being strong or whatever. Yeah, that's
right.
baloney.
There's a great quote that says, you're not afraid of being seen as not enough. You're afraid of being seen as weak.
Yes.
So, for us to get that out of our head of asking for help does not mean we're weak. It means we're trying to learn. It's going to be important for us. Yes. And you're doing that, again, it sounds like you've had this wonderful bank of contacts that you started with. We have a question from the audience of, how did you go about deciding essentially which of those people that you could actually trust? Because obviously you don't want to take advice from just anyone. So how did you go about establishing your advisory panel? But then also, I am curious, how many of them are men that you have leaned on for this? And how many men are on board with helping you actually change this discrimination? Are you finding that men are saying, this is in your head, this is just another Me Too movement, this is a, you know, there is no glass ceiling for women, or are the men actually starting to come around and say, we see it, we're going to help you through this?
Yeah. Woo, lots of good questions. I'm gonna let Lupe start with that one.
Well, I'll tackle a couple pieces and then you can tackle the other. So what we're recognizing is obviously ageism isn't gender specific. It affects everybody. Now, does it affect women vastly more? Absolutely. Just because now we're facing obviously issues like lookism, brandism, and women are just held, unfortunately, to a higher standard about looks and appearances and what their worth is. But the double-sided coin on that is that women also hold that expectation to themselves. And they oftentimes internalize similar ageism to what they're being fed on the exterior. So if society is telling you you're past your age and you can't start up and you can't get funding and you can't do this and that, there's a certain point in time where any human will believe that and internalize it. And unfortunately, we're oftentimes on the receiving end of a lot of that. And so I think with that said, what we have found is that we lean on women that see the potential and the power of women supporting women. So you had a question about how do you find those that will support you, or how do you identify those that will be in your corner? Simply said, it's those, we all have them. We all have people in our corner that are the naysayers, or the like, hey girl, like you keep going, I'm going to support you however I can. So I feel like that we're at a point in time where you can start to see those relationships and start to see those that genuinely are there for your success, and those that are, whether sitting on the envy couch or like on the naysayer, bandwagon, those are typically the ones that you want to try to stay on, obviously, right? But I think it's also important to even take a look at and evaluate their track record and their potential for what they've been able to accomplish in their lives, and be able to then leverage and build upon that and see how they complement where you are needing assistance, so that you don't have the same type of advisor, you don't have the same type of knowledge expert on your team, but rather surround yourself with a wealth of diversified knowledge, experience, whether they've started up, corporate, nonprofit, whatever it might be. Different perspectives create a bounty of wealth and knowledge that you can't replicate if you've got the same type of person on your staff.
I love that, Lupe, because so often people, in my experience, get trapped by someone's words and they don't put enough emphasis on their actions. So I love that you pointed out, take a look at what they've done with their career, take a look at how they made their decisions. And if that falls in line with what you're looking for, then that absolutely leads itself to believe that that might be a good mentor for you.
Right.
Barbara, go ahead. What are your thoughts on
I was thinking, you had asked how many, and everyone who could see, I put the number 2 up as far as how many men are on our panels or on our advisory board. So we have 7 members and 2 are men, and we couldn't be more than thrilled to have them. And they couldn't be more than thrilled to be a part of it. They have provided us with solid advice. And frankly, it's always great, which is why we say intergenerational, inner everything teams work best, is because it's always great to get their take on things. And Rob in particular with me, because we started as a friendship. Actually, we started in when I was at Townsend or at Aurora Mall. Before I was at Park Meadows, he was also in the industry with his own company. So we started as coworkers working for opposite companies and became friends. And so we could be honest with each other. So he's given very honest, very, just really solid information as to how we should approach certain things so that we can also enter the room and be taken serious, because a lot of times we're not, as women. I don't care what age you are, we are undervalued, unseen, unheard, every unword you can think of. And so he's there, and so is Michael Beavis, to lift us up and let us know how important our voice is in the room. And they preach how important our voice as women are in the room. So much so that actually we were invited to take part in Denver Scale Up. And so we were blessed enough to take part in that. And he was one of the first people, along with Rob and a couple of these other advisors that we have, including Amy Cosper, formerly with Entrepreneur, saw our vision even before I think we did. Because when you think about the companies that we were in with Denver Scale Up, we were still pre-revenue and are still pre-revenue. So, it's been great to see that men and women, but specifically in this conversation, when you talked about, do men support us? They do. I'm not saying all do, but they do. I mean, heck, we had someone as big as Brad Feld contact us to say, how can my organization, or how can we lend support, as a sounding board and things. That's actually how we found Wendy and learned about Energize Colorado.
So is that what you are now doing with your Second Act Women, taking this information that you're learning, as you were speaking about, like how to present yourself into a room of men, how to present yourself at these business meetings that you're taking more seriously? Is that the kind of information that you're passing on through Second Act Women? Or are your master classes focused on other things?
So it's a combination of things. So, I mean, we focus on three kind of key learning pillars. And so that's money, work, and life. So we really kind of take a look at it through our workshops. And that's usually we engage our workshops with other experts and we co-present. Sometimes we originate current content ourselves. But the idea being is that we really kind of produce very learning materials to help women at this particular life stage. So we recognize that women at 40, 50 plus already have a track record. Like we're, in some cases, they're not learning the basics, but they're learning how to now, create a personal brand at 40 and 50 plus, considering, that there's ageist beliefs out there and there's ageist bias, for example. And so through our instruction, we take a look at different types of classes and workshops and boot camps that really are focused on pumping up our women, A, first of all, and then B, helping them realize that at 40 and 50 plus, they have acquired a significant amount of experience, whether that's from a financial standpoint, whether that's from a career or a starting up perspective. The idea being is that we help them through our information and through our tools and programs to see the potential of what they can do in their second act. And then we provide resources that span everything from worksheets and discussions to expert panels, master classes, and more. So it's a kind of a diversified ensemble of experiences that our women can tap into and meet them where they're at.
Yeah, we also have on top of that, for the career women who never want to be an entrepreneur or may have a side gig, but they're still in the professional world of, working for corporate America. We've teamed up with startup companies and large companies, global companies like Amazon and Microsoft and others to provide advice on how to break the algorithm and get hired on LinkedIn. I don't know how many of you know Microsoft owns LinkedIn. So how do you do that? So we have had also experts in their field teach these women how to upgrade their resumes or upgrade their profiles or upgrade your social media or learn the difference between I'm talking now to the business owner, the difference between marketing, business development, and sales, because there is a difference. The fact is a lot, right? The fact is a lot of our women, by the way, since all of us are entrepreneurs on this call, we come into being an entrepreneur having been an expert in one area or maybe a couple in corporate America. So what we're trying to do is subsidize and give you best practices through our collection of women who are experts in other areas, whether it's learning Reels on Instagram, whether it's learning QuickBooks, whether it's learning how to even manage those darn books and what to do from the very beginning. So we are there as a landing and launching pad for women who are experts in this one area. But guess what? If you're not there, if you're not generating your revenue or learning how to replace that income that you are there to do with having, the knowledge of other areas, then why have the business? So we like to provide other information. And by the way, imposter syndrome is real. So that's really what I was talking about when it comes to showing up. It's also getting rid of that imposter syndrome that a lot of us had. If you're going to do that deal with your next client, you know what? You have a number in your head. You've already done your homework. You know how much money you're going to charge this client. Don't waver on that number in that meeting. Hold firm on that number because you are of value. And if anything, go in with a higher number, knowing that you're going to land on that other number, but don't go in and give it a reason or an excuse or why you deserve that number. You've already given it in the analysis, and
that ties into, asking for help.
Yeah.
Women are much more likely to cut their prices. Women are much more likely to go, okay, I guess I can do that.
Or I'll do you a favor.
Or I'm not, that's too much to ask for. All the excuses that we give ourselves that are unfounded 100%.
And by the way, there's that thing about, we posted this little funny meme. It was about, can I pick your brain? So y'all, start charging for that pick that brain moment, because actually on a woman's t-shirt it said, can I pick your brain? And below it said, as soon as you pick your price level.
Which is totally true, right?
I love
you pick how much you can pay for this.
That's fantastic. So we do have a burning question from someone. Obviously you two have known each other really well. You've been through a lot together. We have other people here who also work with friends, and they're wondering, how do you navigate that boundary of friendship, business partner, without both of them blowing up? And I can guess ahead of time, it has to do with a lot of respect, a lot of rules about how we'll discuss things, when we'll discuss things, and coming to certain agreements of just how to proceed. But let's hear your answers to that one.
Wow. Well, let's see where to start.
I know, because he doesn't like this term, but I'm an alpha and I am just like, rawr. So when I want, and I'm the one who wants to get things done like immediately. And she is we're learning about Enneagrams. She's the 9, I'm the 8. So she thinks things through, is very methodical about things. And I'm on the opposite end. So we've had to work through that, right, Lupe? We have literally gone through her wanting to pull her hair out and me wanting to pull, when I was wearing extensions, my extensions out, or unclipping them or something. So it's been a beautiful relationship because we're old enough to continue to learn and also understand that process of, okay, not everything has to be my way. Because that's how we started a relationship, is I'm like, okay, no, we have to do it my way because I know, because I've done this, and it can't be that way. If we want to create the synergy that we have been able to create and this being our third company, I've gone through a lot of growth, and so has she. And you tell them what you think.
Yeah. So, I think what's really important is understanding that other partner or that other person you're working with is not you. And I think that's, where Barb and I have had a lot of growth in understanding. We work differently, we think differently, we act differently, we have different levels of expertise, different areas of passion and interest. And it gets a little dicey when you don't see that and you don't respect that. Yeah. And so recognizing that from the get-go and understanding that everybody brings gifts to the table, but in a different way, and that you need to honor and respect that is important. Otherwise, that's going to set you up for failure down the road. And I think secondly is we've really worked on understanding that we don't have to be what would I say? What is the word? Like, I don't have to be Barb to 100%. She doesn't have to be me to 100%. Like, we can coexist. We can have discussions. We may not always see things eye to eye. And when we do say things that we hurt each other, because we have, and we will continue to do that, giving the other person the benefit of the doubt and recognizing that this person that you see on the other side of you is only here to help you, and that whatever just came out of their mouth is not, maybe wasn't the best way, communicated, but it wasn't with the intent to hurt you. And I think if you can be big enough to recognize that and say, what she just said hurt my feelings, but it wasn't to hurt me, and then be able to call her out in a way that she listens, or he or she listens, that's a game changer, a big game changer. Because the moment that you stop respecting each other that way and stop creating that space to be able to fall and pick yourself back up again, then you're not setting yourself up for continued growth, because we're always going to change. We're always going to have hiccups, but you have to have kind of some rules and some understandings and mutual respect and appreciation for each other in order to get past those, slides.
So do you have like, let's say, a rule in place that if you don't come to an agreement, that you just don't make a decision, that you wait until you come to that agreement? Or do you have like one of you just says, okay, I'm taking over marketing, and since I run marketing, it's my final decision, and I'm doing events, and it doesn't, even if you don't agree, this is the direction we're going. Like,
It was like that. I'm going to tell you, it was like that at the beginning, because that was me. Because, it was it was like that. And I have learned to let go of things, because even in corporate, it was hard for me to delegate, but I knew I had to. And so now we do, like just the other day, I was going to change a word, and I said, wait a minute, I'm not going to change that one key pillar until we both agree, because it was like that. And that's a big learning curve for me in particular, because I've worked on both sides of corporate, having to do reports and do things, that we had to do in corporate, whereas she was used to working in a different way. And so we have finally found, after since 2010, but working together since 12 or something.
I think, I thought it was 11, but 12 sounds about right. So, but I think also too, again, Enneagrams are super cool and revealing. So if you haven't done one yet, like it might be, it gives you insight into how the other person thinks. Like I definitely don't like to make decisions on the fly. And so Barb has finally learned, or not learned, but I think has like seen that I need to take more time to figure things out. And I'm not quick to make decisions. And so being able to just say, hey, you know what, we may not see eye to eye on this. Let's come back to this. Like nothing is so pressing that it has to be decided, unless, obviously super urgent deals or whatever it might be. But for the most part, you can give the other person a little space and then ask, like be inquisitive, be curious about why they're giving you the advice that they're giving, or that the insights that they're sharing, or what's the rationale behind their decision. Don't be so quick to just say, this is how I want to do it. Because you might be surprised at what the other person brings to the table that could persuade you to say, oh, yeah, you know what? That makes total sense. Let's try it.
Right.
And that's the thing is,
those questions is so important to say, maybe let me look at it from your point of view. Maybe
that's exactly it.
This way. Have you thought of it in this way? And the discussion versus demands is absolutely huge.
And that's it, Sherry. What I had to do, what I realized in some of the times that I wanted to do things my way, that perhaps she needed more clarity on, or needed more, why would we do it that way, or why? I remembered, oh, wait a minute. If I wanted to do an event or a program, or do press, have press come to the mall to cover Santa, I don't know what it may be. I actually had to provide why. You have to provide your boss with a plan. So that's what we do is, okay, here's the rationale. Here's the intended results. And this is, kind of how it would go. And so, and the rationale is just so important. Plus it's good to have the action plan and the summary and the steps and what you want to have happen ultimately for your customer or your client or your woman. You have to have that anyway. And so for me, that's what I learned in going back to doing a one-sheeter, or giving the rationale. Mm-hmm. And teaching her, maybe, okay, this is the marketing component, why, and she will teach me if there's something she wants to do, vice versa.
Got it. So last question for me before we open it up to the floor. But obviously I've watched you guys over the years, and you have recently gone through some tremendous growth and won some tremendous awards, monetary awards, funding, all these things. Can you talk to the audience about how you got those opportunities, how you presented your case, which enabled you to actually win these monetary awards? What has the outcome been? And what kind of suggestions you would give to others who hope to follow in those same kinds of paths?
Yeah.
So I think it's a matter of keeping yourself out there. So yes, we have a shortcut in that we are public relations and marketing professionals. And so if we find something that's newsworthy or something of interest to whatever medium we're going to pitch, we'll do that. Lupe's a great writer. I'm more of the entertainment, fluffy, fun, goofy writer.
No,
And
you're
she's
not.
such an excellent writer, and she's got a lot of contacts. And so some of it is just keeping our name and contacts out there talking, and being out there pre-COVID. In COVID, we were doing a lot of Zooms and things. So we were keeping Second Act Women alive in various ways, right? So what has happened is we've been mentioned and have been afforded the opportunity through some of our own outreach and our marketing practices and PR acumen to get recognized in Next Avenue and as influencers of the year. There were several of us influencers of the year, which is through Next Avenue, which is a part of PBS, the PBS system. It's their online digital publication. We grew our Facebook page to a certain amount. Lupe will tell you about Facebook, but we've gotten in Fast Company and Forbes through the relationships that once we get a contact, even in media, we grow that, we nurture that relationship. We're givers over getters. So we're all about, giving as much and feeding as much information about our members even, and getting them recognized. And so there's that component, but then we're being recognized. And then what happens is, Lupe, the Facebook and some other things happen.
So last July, we received an email from Facebook inviting us to participate in their community accelerator program. And this is a global program. We found out that more than 14,000 communities globally applied or were invited, so combination thereof, to participate. And of that, they scaled it down to 131 companies or communities globally. 31 were selected here in North America, and we were one of those 31. And it was an 8-month program that exposed us to just a series of great insights on how to grow a community, how to cultivate engagement. Also gave us $80,000 in funding to be able to relaunch, shall I say, our membership. And we're getting ready to now launch a scholarship for minority women over 40 and 50, both from a career and those women that are starting up as well too. And so it opened doors to kind of just even connect with other individuals that we're currently in conversation with to do some brand collabs and potentially be getting some loans and investments into our organization to kind of further our mission. But I think, to punctuate it all, I feel it is, it boils down to one small thing, and that is literally being a good human. I think Barb and I are about as freaking real as we will ever be. We are here to serve and support. We are here to listen. And our goal is always to show up with our heart in hand and be able to help others. And I think people see that. And when people see that, they are naturally gravitated to find ways to support us. And that has been, I think, the beacon on why we've attracted so many amazing people like, Wendy and Brad and, your community into our community and to our lives, because they see that this is, what you see is what you get. And I think that's important to make sure that everybody on this call recognizes that.
I think that's a sign of the times and a sign of our age. This is what you get. Where there's no pretending. This is as authentic as it comes. We're going to share within our community the good, the bad, and the ugly, and we will tell you as business owners, we've been through it, above it, around it, and still going through it. And we're still pre-revenue, as we said earlier. And there have been times, and there will be times that if you've not already felt it, want to give up. But if that whisper of wanting to do that becomes a scream, which is what happened with me in Second Act Women, this is your time, and it will come about. Whatever it is you're looking to achieve, it will happen as long as this is your purpose. I'm not going to say your passion, because sometimes people have other passions outside of this, but if this is meant to be, and you are ultimately, you are solving a solution for the person on the other end of whatever your product or service is, it's going to work out. Keep moving, because I tell you, it's what she said. Suddenly, there have been times where we're crying, I'm calling her, she's crying, she's calling me, marriages are on the rocks, or trying to find a man is not being found.
The realities of life, right?
Realities, trying to pay your rent, or because you used to have a mortgage. Those things are real. But ladies, I will tell you, if you stick to it, just 2 weeks ago, we looked in the same room we sat in. This is a great way, I guess, to open it up for questions. We sat in the same damn room that we welcomed our first brainstorm session to figure out what the FUCK this was going to be. And 2 weeks ago, and almost 3 years to the date, we sat in that same room with women who have dedicated their time and the money we've been given. We've been afforded the opportunity to give back into our community. And we were brand strategizing. We were talking about our Women 360 event, our 6 BizCon event, our brand strategy, and how does it, Second Act Women is here. The parent company is Bloomco. We've got the B2B, where we've literally just kind of deal with Western Union. And I will say, for $25,000, because we want to be real with you ladies, to go in and talk about ageist issues. And then you've got the B2C, and we're just literally, thank God I didn't have the lashes on moment, because I started crying and going, oh my God, is this real? And mind you, we still haven't been able to pay ourselves much, but it's coming. It's coming. Hang in there, please. If you know it's right.
I just, within a matter of days, hit my 2-year anniversary of launching the business. And like you, when I've started to see just passing that break-even point, and it's like, yes, keep going, momentum.
Keep swimming.
So, and as you were talking about, it's that purpose. I feel my purpose is my passion, which this show is not about me, so I won't go into that, but I'll just say I completely resonate with everything you were just saying. And I am quite certain that there are many people listening to this who needed to hear these words from both of you today. So I just want to thank you again for opening up your hearts, opening up your minds to all of the questions that I had. And I want to now turn it over to the floor. And if anybody wants to unmute themselves to ask a question, please feel free to do so. Obviously, these ladies are not scary. They will answer anything you might want to ask them. They have said no holds barred, so whatever you want to ask. You can even ask Barbara where she got her flower.
If I may, I would like to say congratulations to you, Chef, for getting into DIA. You toot your own horn, but I'm going to toot it for you.
Thank
yes,
you.
Girl.
Right? You kept swimming, and you're in DIA, and they contacted you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank
you.
Very, very excited about that.
Gotta celebrate the little and the big wins. Absolutely. Part of every day.
Okay. Anybody have questions?
We are here.
Because if not, I'll ask another one.
Well,
okay. So I'll ask one since nobody's perked up. So this is more of a personalized question, I guess. But obviously, as entrepreneurs, we work our asses off. We are always, if we're not doing something for the business, we are thinking about the business. And unplugging is so challenging sometimes. So I want to know how often you unplug, what you do when you unplug, and do you stay apart from each other when you unplug?
Well, so I'll tell you what I do. I love to work out. So I unplug every morning at about 5 and change in the morning. I I head to the gym pretty much 6 days out of the 7, and I just work out my little heart. So I love to work out. I think for me that gives it sets my tone for the day. So Barb knows like, hey, don't email her at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, because I won't check it. And I actually have my notifications on. So that's how I unplug. And I don't release my notifications. Off, shall I say off? Yes. I don't turn them on until I'm actually back at home, so that I can start to receive that influx of texts or messages or whatever it might be. And, as far as kind of like, when we unplug, do we stay away from each other? Like, I don't know. I feel like there are times when we kind of do our own thing, but I think I enjoy Barb as a human. Like, I like hanging out with her. And sometimes what we need to do is just consciously be like, we're not talking work today. We're going to just hang out.
Shots. We're going to go get some drinks.
We're going to go whatever. We're going to go to paddle boarding, or we're going to go grab some drinks. And we have so many women in common too, like so many kind of friendship connections between us that I think if I'm working with someone, I better hope I enjoy their company. But like to say, we still have our downtime, because obviously I want to spend time with my family too, but we find times to just make it social versus work and social.
Okay. And how about you, Barb?
So I have a problem with turning things off, as she knows, which is something that I was overstepping my boundaries with her, which is why she turns her notifications off. So I have learned, after going at it for 3 years, I feel like 6 days a week in a row. And even on that 7th day, I could be sitting, I don't know, at a restaurant with friends, and I'll still think about what I could be doing and jotting a note down. I have learned to listen to Lupe and unplug, because I was not listening. And I realized I was breaking down mentally and physically. I am actually at my highest weight at 232 pounds. And it's because I was not
throwing there too that you're about 6'5", right? So
with my heels on. Yes, I'm 5'11", and yes, and I will tell you, I had to learn. So I'm the opposite. I am learning now, to go out and take a walk and I've been on this now since January, this self-care rediscovery of me, because I discovered also, and this is what I love about this community, is I'm also learning. So the coach needs a coach, which literally we have coaches, because I was burning out, and I was literally in tears. I was, and coming out of menopause, there was the brain fog and the this, the that. It was a lot. And so I unplugged during Christmas for the first time. And that means a lot, especially coming from the mall industry, for a week. And I went dark, honey. I just enjoyed myself. And I've learned now since to do that, enjoy my weekends and unplug. Now, I'm still a workaholic. I always have been since I touched corporate America at 18 as an intern. But I know when to stop, when to say no also to events, because I'm a social girl.
Okay. So final words of wisdom from both of you of any topic you'd like, whether it be networking, whether it be pursuing passion. Like, what is the last thing you'd want to impart to this wonderful group of women who've joined us here on this call today?
Do you have yours, Barb?
You go. I have one that I just created that I'm really, I'm all about waking up with purpose and passion, but I will share something that I just created. But I also would love to leave the women with our video, our 2-minute video, so you guys feel really pumped up about where you are in life, if that's okay.
With me, or who we?
Yeah, I just wanted to see before we give you our last points, if we.
Oh, like you mean show a video?
Share our 2-minute
sure.
video. Yeah. You want to give yours, Lupe?
So mine is I think it's just super simple. I would say, don't shortchange your gifts, and always be true to putting yourself first. Not in a selfish way, meaning like not necessarily like letting go of what other people have to say or the needs of others, but making sure that you value what you need as a person, because you are a woman first before you're a mom, a wife, a professional, whatever it is, and you need to take care of you. So treasure your gifts and make sure you honor who you are as an amazing woman on this earth.
I love it.
I would say, okay, so I just came up with this because I'm always trying to figure out what is success to me. A lot of people always, it's always like, what is success? What does success mean? For me, I just came up with purpose plus persistence equals success on my terms. So success for me is just keep swimming, keep going, keep doing, keep being, keep helping, keep giving. That's what success means. And I'm very persistent in all of those areas because I am such a huge lover of people. And I think that's what's helped Lupe and I grow this company exponentially, and just the recognition, as she said earlier, is just, is being persistent in what, and have that be successful on your terms. So I would love to know, okay, 41, then you guys need to stay on and watch this video. If you don't feel pumped up just from this conversation, I already noticed I can share screen. I already checked it out. I am going to share this 2-minute video with you guys. And the last thing we want to share with you is go to our Facebook page and our website. We do have a self-care conference coming up. And if you use the code VIP, you can attend this conference where you're going to get a lot of free swag. It's next Friday for free. You can go to this conference for free. So, some people are in our Facebook group. I love that. So use the code VIP for our self-care camp happening from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. next week. And you can get in for free. And so I want to share this video. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So let me just do this. And it's just 2 minutes and 26 seconds. Oh, well, that's our old picture. Anywho, that was before the gray. Whoops, apologies. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's great. And it's so true. And I love seeing some of those women that popped up during the video. For those of you watching, if you don't know who the Thanks founder is, her name is Sarah Blakely. Follow her on Instagram. She is hysterical to watch because she is as real as you two are. And She shows what it's like life with, these 4 young kids that she's trying to raise, and her husband who has his own massive business as well. And she keeps it real, keeps it inspiring. And yes, I think she just turned 50, 40 or 50, one of the two. And
I think it's 50.
I think it's 50
yeah,
as well.
she just sold her company for over $1 billion, and just another wonderful example. So yes, I would agree with everything that was shown in that video, that we all believe at this age that we truly are in the prime of our lives. There is no way I would want to go back to 25 unless it could be to invest in the stock market. And
yeah, okay, that.
All right, that will be the exception, Sherry.
Or start my
watching
401k earlier.
Young, invest now and don't touch it. Just let it grow. I mean, compound interest is a beautiful thing. So again, thank you all so very much. Lupe, Barbara, if you would drop your contact information in the chat, that would be fantastic. And then when we send out the video recording, we will make sure that we include it as well. Give them all the stuff, all your LinkedIn, all your social, all that. And on that note, wonderful way to have this lunch hour on our Wednesday. Thank you again both so much for being here. You're absolute delight to have, and we look forward to many more conversations with you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everyone, you got this.
Yes, we do. Okay, everybody, enjoy
Have a
your
good
Wednesday.
one. Thanks. Bye.
Next time. Bye.